All right, we are going to do some technology activities for Chapter 3. The first one is finding your measures of central tendency, which means you're going to do your mean, median, and mode. So first thing we have to do is type our numbers into the cells, and we're going to do them in cells A2 to A16. So don't start way up in the top. Start down there at A2. Go ahead and type your numbers in there. So I've got 104, 104, 104, 104, 104. Then I have 107, 109, 109, 109, 110, and then 109, 111, 112, 111, and 109. So I've got my data in there. They're in cells A2 down to A16. Enter a label for the variable in cell A1. And so we are just going to go ahead and just call that data. Compute the mean of the data. We are going to key in a blank cell equals average A2 to A16. So I'm just going to go over here and I am going to click in cell C3 and I'm going to type in equal average, A-V-E-R-A-G-E. Does not have to be in caps, but notice it came up. I'm going to put my parenthesis. And then instead of having to type A2 to A16, I can just come over here and click and drag, or you can type it in, close my parenthesis, and my average there should be 107.733. I'm going to just go ahead next to it and label that. That is my mean. To do the mode, this one makes a little more sense. You're going to use mode. Equals mode. Again, going to put your parenthesis, and then you can either type in cell A2 to A16 or just click and drag over the top, close my parenthesis. When I enter, my mode, the one that occurs the most often, is 104. And then to do the median, same thing. I'm going to click equals, and I'm going to type in the word median, M-E-D-I-A-N, close my parenthesis. From cell A2 to A16 again, close my parenthesis, and 109 then is my median. Just to note, these and other statistical functions can be accessed without typing them directly. You can select the Formulas tab from the toolbar. So if I go up on the top here, it says Formulas, and then select the insert function, which is this one right over here. I'm going to click down here, insert function, and then select the statistical category. So instead of most recently used, we can go to statistical. I can go there, and then I can find the appropriate one if I want to look in here. I went by average, but there's the average one. If I keep going down, they're in alphabetical order. There's my median, and the mode wants to not have mode. Mode single. But they're also in there. To me, it's just as easy just to type in the name instead of going to insert function, but can be done. On the next one here, we are finding the measures of variation. Again, they're going to have you type the data in cell A2 to A7 because they're going to have you put a label in cell A1. So again, I'm just going to put data up there. You can put whatever you want. It could be your variances or whatever it is, but I've got my sample data. I've got to type my data in, and so I'm going to type in 9, 10, 14, 7, 8, and 3. So I've got my data listed in there. Then I'm going to again just go over to the side wherever you want to put that in. I'm going to go to cell C3 and I'm going to enter in equals, and I'm going to put VAR.S. That is for your sample variance. To do my sample variance again, I want to put my parenthesis, and then I'm going to select my data. So I'm going to highlight cell A2 down to A7, close my parenthesis, and I get 13.1 for my sample variance. If I go here down to cell C4, I am going to do my sample standard deviation. So I'm going to put equal STDEV.S again because I want S. I want the sample standard deviation. And again, I'm going to put my parenthesis, put my data in there, and close my parenthesis. And when I enter, I get 3.619392, so forth. That's my sample standard deviation. And if I want to do my range, I am going to go ahead and do the formula equals max, close my parenthesis. What it's going to do is find the maximum value from that data list. I'm going to close that, and then I'm going to subtract the minimum. So I'm going to do min, parenthesis, and highlight my data again, close my parenthesis. So in order to find the range, you're going to have it find the maximum value for it, subtract the minimum value, and if I hit equals, the range between my largest and my smallest number is 11. So again, those things are under the formulas tab. If you do the insert function and do the statistical category, you can find them. But if you know what the command is, you can just type in the name. The command for computing population variance instead of sample variance, you'd use a P instead of using an S. So I would use VARP for the population variance and STDEV.P for population standard deviation. The next one, we are going to do some descriptive stats. This time it does tell you to enter your data in cells A1 to A9. The Excel Analysis Tool Pack Add-in Data Analysis includes the descriptive stats. And so what we're going to do first of all here is go up in our cell A1, type in our numbers 12, 17, 15, 16, 16, 14, 18, 13, and 10. Got all my 9 numbers in there. Again, hopefully the data analysis tool pack is added in there. If you go to data, over here on the side should be the data analysis. Otherwise, you'll have to go back to your chapter 1 packet to add that in. But hopefully it's in there because we did our data analysis when we did our histograms, etc. So we're going to click data analysis over there. Again, we're on the data tab. We're going to go over to data analysis over here. And in the tools, we are going to scroll to descriptive statistics and click OK. So I have to find descriptive statistics. There it is. They're in alphabetical order. I'm going to hit OK on that. And I want to put in my input range. My input range is my data. So I'm going to click on all my data, put my my range in there. We're going to check the group by columns option, which it already is checked on mine, but if it's by rows, change it to columns. You want it grouped by columns. Select the output range. Output range over here, we're going to just put it in cell C1. So if I click here, I can just click on the cell I want to put it in. Cell C1 is where I want it. And then I want to also check summary statistics. So down here, the only box I want checked is that top one that says summary statistics. And then I'm going to hit OK. Up here then, it's going to have my mean. I'm going to widen my column here so I can see. standard error, the median, the mode, the standard deviation, the sample variance, and the range, the minimum, the maximum, the sum of my numbers, the count, which is how many numbers I have on my list, and various other statistics that we might have. The next one are our measures of positions, which means we're going to find the z-scores for our data. Again, on this one, they're going to have you put the data in cells A2 to A9 because they're going to have you label. So again, in the top box, I'm just going to put data. In B, I'm going to put z-score because that's what we're going to find. Excuse me. Putting my data in, starting in cell A2. I have a 5, 6, 12, 13, 15, 18, 22, and 50. So I have my data in there. I labeled cell B1 z-score already. I'm going to select cell B2. So underneath that, I'm going to go to my Formulas tab and go to Insert Function. Formulas. Insert Function is your first one. Again, I want to make sure it's on statistical, so if it's not, I would change that drop down to statistical. And I'm going to scroll down in my list and look for standardized. So again, they should be in alphabetical order. If I pull that down, I see here, right here, I have standardized. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to click OK. So in here for my X value, I'm going to type in A1, or I'm just going to click over here on cell A, or not A1, A2, or I'm going to just go over here and click on cell A2. Then for the mean, I'm going to type in average, A-V-E-R-A-G-E, and then I'm going to go from A2 to A9. Again, you could type it in, or you can click and drag over the top. Oops, I didn't put my parenthesis. It didn't like that. Let me try that again. I'll just start again. Average, parenthesis. Then I'm going to do, oh, shoot, I got rid. Try that again. Average, parenthesis. And then I'm going to go from A2 to A9. Close my parenthesis on that. And then in the standard deviation, I'm going to type in stdev.s. I'm doing the sample standard deviation. And again, I'm going to go from A2 to A9. Close my parenthesis there. And when I hit OK then, it's going to give me the z-score that corresponds to 5, which is negative 0.88583. I'm then going to go down to my next cell, and I'm basically going to repeat that procedure. So in cell B3, in cell B3, instead of using the 5, I'm going to use the 6. So again, I'm going to repeat that. I'm going to go to Insert Function. I'm on statistical. I'm going to go down to standardized. I'm going to hit OK. This time for the X value, I'm using the value 6. So I'm using cell A3. And then I'm going to do the average and the standard deviation. So I am going to do average, parenthesis, and I'm selecting all of these on the data. Close my parenthesis. And then I'm going to do my standard deviation, stdev.s, parenthesis, select all of my data, close my parenthesis. I'm going to hit OK on that. I have negative 0.81566. And then I'm going to have you repeat it for these ones and see if you end up getting the same information I do. But you're just going to repeat that for each one, making sure you change the X value, but the formula in the other box should stay the same. Go ahead and try to finish that chart. All right, the next one we're going to use Excel to do two built-in functions for percentile rank. We're going to do inclusively and exclusively. So again, we're going to have the top ones be our labels. I'm going to label A1 data. I'm going to do B, my percent rank inclusive, so I'll just go like that, and C, my percent rank exclusive. I'm going to widen my columns a bit so that everything shows up there. Get my crosshairs, widen that out so I can see what I'm doing. Under my data, I'm going to type my data in. So 5, 6, 12, 13, 15, 18, 22, and 50. I've got my data in there. So I'm going to start up here in cell B2. I'm going to select the Formulas tab. Again, I'm going to do Insert Function. Again, I want to make sure it's on Statistical. And this time I'm going to do percent rank inclusive. So I'm going to slide down to the P's. You'll notice there's 2 of them. And there it is. Percent rank, there it is. So there's 2 of them. The inclusive is after the exclusive because obviously they're in alphabetical order. So percent rank inclusive is the one I'm going to pick. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to hit OK. And so for my array, that's where I'm going to have my data values. So I'm going to select A2 down to A9. In for the first box, I want to use the first X value. So in for X, I'm going to click on cell A2. And then you can leave the significant box blank unless you want to change the number of significant digits in your output. The default is going to be 3. I'm just going to leave it. But if you wanted 2 significant digits or something like that, you could change that value. I'm going to hit OK there. And so for my first one, I got 0. I'm going to do number 6 here and do the same thing. Insert my function. I'm going to slide it down to find the one that says percent rank inclusive. Right there it is. I'm going to hit OK. My array, I'm going to use all of my data. So from A2 down to A9, my X value now this time is going to be cell A3, the one with the 6 in it. And again, I'm going to leave the significance alone. This time I get 0.142. Doing one more of those, insert function, go down to my percent rank inclusive. Find that. My array, going to be all of my numbers on my data list. My X value is going to be the 12 this time. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to let you fill in the rest of those. We're going to do the same thing for our percent rank exclusive. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to insert my function. Again, it's on the statistical ones. I'm going to slide down to the percent rank. This time I'm doing the exclusive one, so EXC on the end. I'm going to do my array, which is going to be all of my data. And then for my X value, for this one, I'm going to use the 5. So I'm using cell A2. Again, I'm not going to change the significance. I'm just going to leave it at the default, but you could if you wanted to. And I have 0.111. Doing the next one, insert function, sliding down to percent rank exclusive. So get the right one, hit OK. My array, all of my numbers. This time my X value is going to be the 6. That's in cell A3. I'm going to hit OK. One more of those. Insert function, percent rank exclusive. Click on that one. My array is all of my data. My X value this time is the 12, so cell A4. And hit OK. And again, I'm going to let you finish those and see how you come out. The last technology activity here for Chapter 3 is on using your graphing calculator in order to calculate your statistics. So, first thing, I better turn it on. I'm going to clear out my screen here. So, I am going to first of all enter my data. Again, to enter the data, you're going to hit the Stat button. So I'm going to hit Stat. I'm going to hit number 1 to edit. So way down on the bottom, number 1 to edit. If I cursor up to the top and I hit clear and enter, I can clear out all the data that was already in there because I don't want that in there. And I'm going to put my numbers in. So 9, enter, 10, enter, 14, enter, 7, enter, 8, enter, and 3, enter. So now I've got the list of data under L1. And then I'm going to press Stat again to go back to the menu. Now, besides the Edit menu, you'll notice the next one over says Calc. That's going to calculate stuff. So we're going to cursor over to Calc, and we want to calculate the one variable statistics. So we're going to press number 1 for one variable statistics. It wants to know which list you're going to use. The default is list 1, but if you wanted to change it, you would change it. If I wanted to change it to list 2, I would hit the blue button, and then list 2 is above the number 2 key, so I could change it to list 2 or list 3. But the default is list 1, so we put our data in list 1. I'm going to enter there, and then I am just going to enter through that. We don't need that one in there, and we're going to hit calculate. It's going to calculate all of my data there. And so if I look at that one, I can see that first of all, the top one, the X bar, is your mean. The next one is the sum of your values. The next one is the sum of the squares of your values. The next one we have our sample standard deviation. The next one is our population standard deviation. N is the number on the list. Min X is your minimum. Q1 is quartile 1, like when you did the box and whisker plot. If I arrow down, I have my median, I have quartile 3, and then I have my maximum X value. So if I were doing my box and whisker plots, I could have my calculator figure out those values once I have them punched into my list. Second part of that, we are going to calculate the mean and standard deviation from grouped data. So first thing we have to do is clear out our list. So again, I'm going to hit Stat and 1, Edit, and I'm going to cursor up to the top, and I'm going to clear and enter, clear out my list 1. So it says enter the midpoints into list 1. We have our midpoints starting with 8. If you look at that third column, so 8, enter, 13, enter, 18, 23, 28, 33, and 38. So I have the midpoints listed in list 1. Then it says enter the frequencies into list 2. So I'm going to cursor over to list 2, my frequencies, 1, 2, 3, 5, 4, 3, 2. And so now I have my frequencies in list 2. I'm going to press the Stat button to go to the menu. So hit Stat down here. Boop. On my menu, again, I want to do my calculations. So I am going to arrow over. Instead of Edit, I'm going to Calculate. Then we are again going to do one variable statistics. So we are going to hit number 1, one variable statistics. All right, they changed that a little bit on this new calculator. So we got to revise our direction there. When we go to Stat and Calculate, we're going to do one variable statistics. We want list 1, the list to be list 1. So we put second function 1 to put list 1 in there. The frequency list this time we have to put in list 2. So second function 2 to put list 2. On the previous one we didn't put anything into the frequency list. This time we're cursoring down and putting that in there. On the previous TI calculators you put them in next to each other, but on these brand new ones they divided it up, so our menu is just a little bit different, so we'll have to change those notes. But if I enter and hit Calculate, again I can see all my data, the mean being 24.5, the sum of my numbers 490, and so forth. And if I arrow down, I get my minimum, quartile 1, median, quartile 2, and quartile 3.